Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark J. Janicio, and this time I will going to present to you the topic that is all about climate change. First, let us define what is climate change. Climate change refers to a long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. These shifts may be natural, such as through variation in the solar cycle. But since the 1800s, human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. Burning fossil fuels generates greenhouse gas emissions that act like a blanket wrap around the earth, trapping the sun's heat and raising temperatures. Examples of greenhouse gas emissions that are causing climate change include carbon dioxide and methane. These come from using gasoline for driving a car or coal for heating a building. For example, clearing land and forest can also release carbon dioxide. Landfills for garbage are a major source of methane emissions. Energy, industry, transport, buildings, agriculture, and land use are among the main emitters. Greenhouse gas concentrations are at the highest levels in 2 million years, and emissions continue to rise. As a result, the Earth is now about 1.1 degrees Celsius warmer than it was in the late 1800s. The last decade, 2011 to 2020, was the warmest on record. Many people think climate change mainly means warmer temperatures. But temperatures rise is only the beginning of the story. Because the Earth is a system where everything is connected, changes in one area can influence changes in all others. The consequences of climate change now include, among others, intense droughts, water scarcity, severe fires, rising sea levels, flooding, melting polar ice, catastrophic storms, and declining biodiversity. Now let us proceed to our changing climate. We see climate change affecting our planet from pole to pole. NOAA monitors global climate data, and here are some of the changes. NOAA has recorded global temperature rose about 1.8 degree Fahrenheit or 1 degree Celsius from 1901 to 2020. Sea level rise has accelerated from 1.7 millimeter per year throughout most of the 20th century to 3.2 millimeter per year since 1993. Glaciers' ice are shrinking. Average thickness of 30 well-studied glaciers has decreased more than 60 feet since 1980. The area covered by sea ice in the Arctic at the end of the summer has shrunk by about 40% since 1979. The amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has risen by 25% since 1958 and by about 40% since the Industrial Revolution. At this point, we are going to discuss the effect of climate change. First, to the water. Changes to water resources can have a big impact on our world and our lives. Flooding is an increasing issue as our climate is changing. Compared to the beginning of the 20th century, there are both stronger and more frequent abnormally heavy precipitation events across most of the United States. Conversely, drought is also becoming more common, particularly in the western United States. Humans are using more water, especially for agriculture. Much like we sweat more when it is hot out, higher air temperatures cause plants to lose or transpire more water, meaning farmers must give them more water. Both highlight the need for more water in place where supplies are dwindling. Second, the effect to the food. Our food supply depends on climate and weather conditions. Although farmers and researchers may be able to adapt some agricultural techniques and technologies or develop new ones, some changes will be difficult to manage. Increased temperatures, drought and water stress, diseases, and weather extreme create challenges for the farmers and ranchers who put food on our tables. Human farm workers can suffer from heat-related health issues like exhaustion, heat stroke, and heart attacks. Rising temperatures and heat stress can also harm livestock. The third one is the effect of the human health. Climate change is already impacting human health. Changes in weather and climate patterns can put lives at risk. Heat is one of the most deadly weather phenomena. As ocean temperatures rise, hurricanes are getting stronger and wetter, which can cause direct and indirect deaths. Dry conditions lead to more wildfires, which bring many health risks. Higher incidence of flooding can lead to the spread of waterborne diseases, injuries, and chemical hazards. As geographic ranges of mosquitoes and ticks expand, they can carry diseases to new locations. The most vulnerable groups, including children, the elderly people with pre-existing health conditions, outdoors workers, people of color, and people with low income, are at an even higher risk because of the compounding factors from climate change. But public health groups can work with local communities to help people understand and build resilience to climate change health impacts. The fourth one is to the environment. Climate change will continue to have significant impact on ecosystems and organisms, though they are not impacted equally. The Arctic is one of the ecosystem most vulnerable to the effects of climate change. It is warming at least twice the rate of the global average, and melting land ice sheets and glaciers contribute dramatically offsite linked to sea level rise around the globe. Some living things are able to respond to climate change. Some plants are blooming earlier, and some species may expand their geographic range. But these changes are happening too fast for many other plants and animals, as increasing temperatures and changing precipitation patterns stress ecosystems. Some invasive or nuisance species like lionfish and ticks may thrive in even more places because of climate change. Next is to the infrastructure. Physical infrastructure includes bridges, roads, ports, electrical grids, broadband, internet, and other parts of our transportation and communication systems. It is often designed to be in use for years or decades, and many communities have infrastructure that was designed without future climate in mind. But even newer infrastructures can be vulnerable to climate change. Extreme weather events that bring heavy rains, floods, wind, snow, or temperature changes can stress existing structures and facilities. Increased temperatures require more indoor cooling, which can put stress on an energy grid. Sudden heavy rainfall can lead to flooding that shuts down highways and major business areas. Saving the environment starts with us, and it is our responsibility to act against these terrible changes to preserve the planet for future generations. Climate change has already begun to impact our planet in more ways than we can think. Temperatures continue to rise throughout the planet, and we are experiencing changes in precipitation patterns as we have never seen before. The main cause of these catastrophic effects on our planet is pollution. Fortunately, there are always things that we can do to fight against climate change. Saving the environment starts with us, and it's our responsibility to act against these terrible changes to preserve the planet for future generations once again. And finally, there are 6 things we can do to prevent climate change. First is to make your commute green. Millions of people drive to work every day. It is simply unavoidable in our modern day society. However, the downside to this is that millions of cars emit greenhouse gases that destroys our atmosphere. Vehicles emissions are a close second when it comes to the top causes of climate change. There are always other options that you can utilize to make your commute to work eco-friendly. For starters, taking public transportation to work is a great way to cut out emission. Riding your bike to work is also incredibly helpful to the environment, and it's a great method to get exercise. Second is be more conservative with energy usage. Becoming more energy efficient is a great way to prevent pollution. It causes the power plants to expend less energy than can lead to the production of greenhouse gases. This means that you should do what you can to cut down on energy usage in our household. Make sure to turn off lights and unplug devices that are not using anymore. When you are done with them, replace your light bulbs with energy efficient light bulbs to help you save electricity too, or use solar panel. Next is get active and vote. One of the best ways to improve climate change too is to help those who will fight against it get into office. This means voting for legislation and politicians that lead against the detrimental effects of climate change. Many corporations have politicians on their payroll and use them to lobby against legislation that would require more regulation against them. Voting the right people into office will help pass legislation that allows us to fight against these corporations that are mainly to blame for climate change. The fourth one is the recycle. Manufacturing plants emits a large number of greenhouse gases per year. It is unavoidable in the production of goods that we use on a regular basis. However, a cleaner alternative would be to invest in recycling. Recycling is a cost-effective and eco-friendly process that eliminates waste and doesn't emit greenhouse gases into the environment. Be sure to collect your discarded paper, glass, plastic, and electronics to your local recycling center. The professional will take these items to a processing plant where they will be remade into other recyclable materials again. Most importantly is to educate yourself and others. The importance of educating others about climate change cannot be overstated in our modern society. There are many platforms for us to utilize that can allow us to spread our message easily. Whether you use word of mouth or social media, these are always ways to educate others on what climate change is doing to our planet. You can help protect the planet by educating others about the dangers of climate change and how to act against it. Lastly, encourage the use of renewable energies. Focusing your efforts to spread awareness about renewable energy is the best way to create a positive impact in your community. By informing others about how renewable energy is better than utilizing fossil fuels, you will sway others into investing in the idea. Thank you for listening. God bless.